Good morning, and today I'm actually kind of excited today. We got to start on this Corvette here. This is going to be a little bit different than what I'm used to. Normally I'm doing something with a supercharger or some kind of power adder. Today we're just working on this naturally aspirated one. It has a nasty engine noise, so we're going to find out what that is hopefully today, maybe tomorrow. We'll see how things go, how things come apart. I am going to be pulling the motor on this car. Most likely. I got like two little things I got to check while I'm going through the process of pulling the motor. But if I don't find anything there, I'll be pulling the motor out completely. So I'm going to go ahead and get started ripping and tearing on this thing. But first, before I do that, I'm going to fire this car up. It is a 05 C6, so it's Corvette. So I'm going to go ahead and fire it up just so you can hear the noise that's going on. I had this car in a previous video for a noise as well. Well, the noise has progressed into the noise that it has now. I'm fairly confident it is a wrist pin bushing or a connecting rod bearing. It's a nasty, squawky chirp thing. Both belts are disconnected right now, just to be sure that it wasn't some kind of weird pulley. It sounds like it's coming from mid-motor, but I had him pull the belts and stuff anyway because he said it got worse. Just to be absolutely positive it's not a belt. So there you have it. That's the noise. It's a pretty nasty squawk sound. It's kind of a knock and a squawk all at the same time. So I'm going to get this thing covered up and then get started. So I got the car covered up and the battery now disconnected, and I am working on getting the hoist set up. As soon as the hoist is set up, I get to take the time and start working on all the other little pieces on the car. Start from the top, lift the car up, then go to the bottom, take a bunch of stuff off, and that's what you guys get to see here. So I pretty much confirmed that the noise I was hearing was a mechanical failure of some sort. I'm thinking a piston has cracked or failed somehow, actually, now. I've changed my opinion. And I've changed my opinion based off of the spark plugs. The porcelain, white, 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 foul with oil. So there is just a ton of oil. Yeah, it's oil on this cylinder. I don't see any crack. Yeah, I don't see any evident cracks in the porcelain. So it's not like it's just a misfire. But that thing is black. That spark plug is so black. Here, I'll bring you that one and another one just to compare. See the difference there? If I can get it to focus. So you can see how black this one is compared to the other one. And yeah, that tells me that that cylinder has a problem. Now that is the very end cylinder here. So that intake valve just happens to be open. So I'm taking a look in there as best I can, and I'm noticing some serious scoring or galling right on the very back side of the cylinder wall, or the laid upon lateral side, I don't know what you'd call it. But you know, the piston's going like this, right? And the cylinder wall's right here, this side of the cylinder wall. So if the piston's here and it's going like this, right here, there's some nasty galling. So, you know, it's scuffing against that spot really badly. And so it's definitely going to need cylinder work. But most likely that galling is from something. Either something ended up in the cylinder and chewing it up, like whether it be dirt or something of that nature, or the piston has failed. And there could be a ring that has broken, or maybe the piston, the edge where the ring land lays, there's like a spot above the ring land that's maybe cracked or broken, or maybe between the top and bottom rings, who knows. We'll find out. I'll go ahead and get this motor out, we'll get it apart and see what it looks like. When it comes to these cars and getting the motor out, there's two options you can do. A, you can drop the entire torque tube, engine, transmission, cradle assemblies. Or B, like I do, I pull it up the top. And in order to pull it up the top, you do have to drop the cradle that is in the front, at least a little bit. So you have to disconnect the shocks. You have to remove the wheels, obviously, to do so you can get at the shock bolts. But disconnect the shocks and lower the cradle down quite a bit. The only reason you have to remove that cradle down is to be able to get the motor clear of the motor mouth so you can pull it forward before you pull it up. So you don't have to get it down very far, just enough. So one of these came up kind of harsh. It rolled a thread near the end. So I'm going to have to run a tap in there and replace this bolt. But a note when you take these off, make sure that you pay attention to the washers that are in there. This one actually only had 3. And those washers affect the alignment. So I keep the ones that were in there in the same exact order as which I pulled them out. That way, in case there's any difference in thickness, I don't have to worry about putting it in wrong when I put it back together. So I've been working on the exhaust for a good 15-20 minutes now. I've loosened every single dang clamp on this thing. But I've loosened every clamp on this thing, and I can't get it to separate anywhere. It's corroded, whatever. You know, the exhaust has moisture in it, so it's got a bunch of crap in it, and I can't get it to separate anywhere. This is going to be the part that kills me as far as time. It's probably going to take the longest out of the whole part of the project. This is probably going to be the part that takes me the most ridiculous time for what it is. Alright, finally got the exhaust off of there. Boy, was that a pain in the you know what. But I wanted to give you guys a glimpse of this quick, because this is something common with these cars. I've shown people this before. I mean, I've had a video with it in it before, but this is that support plate or mid plate. I don't know what it's actually called. Whatever it is, it's a form of a support plate for the whole chassis, and it does have an awful lot of stress on it. Believe it or not, it has a lot of stress on it. So, what I want to say about this plate is, all too often, people don't get these bolts tight enough. See one missing here? Okay. I do not see a broken off bolt in there, so that means it fell out. There is a missing one here, it looks like, and I don't see a broken bolt in there, so that one probably fell out or was never put in. That one almost looks like it was never put in because it's crooked, unless it's that loose. Now, the people not tightening these, the reason that's a problem, you hear that? It sounds kind of goofy, right? It just doesn't sound right. That's because these are loose. That one's tight. The fact that I can spin any of these by hand, there's one, that one's loose. It's a clear sign that they weren't tightened down good enough. And in fact, there's another loose one. I usually recommend people take the time to tighten these once, the first time, like when I do the tightening. But I tell them when they take the car, make sure you recheck those bolts, because these bolts, it's pretty common for them to come loose, even if you do tighten them correctly. There is so much stress on that plate from the chassis moving around. Every time you hit bumps, every time you go around a corner hard, it twists the body. Every time you accelerate hard, if you have enough power for it, it tweaks that plate. There are upgraded plates for these things. They're thicker. There's insulated ones as well. The insulated ones are the worst when it comes to making these bolts come loose. So, just a little side note, these plates are very common to have these bolts come loose. Always check them. Maybe make it an annual thing or something if you have one of these cars. So, now you can see that I left those two center bolts in there. That's just so it's easier to remove. All it is so that I can be able to leave it up there and only have two bolts in my hand when I remove it. I'm going to try something different on this video. I'm going to break this video up into little 15-minute increments, so episodes if you will. Previous large jobs like this I did like 45-ish minute episodes, and it just seems like it's too long. The people, I noticed you guys aren't watching the full episode, probably because you only have so much time in a day to watch something. I feel like if I break it up, it'll be a little bit better for you. Let me know how you like it. I'm cutting the video here. I want to try something new and see how it works. If you like it, great. Click on the like. Don't forget to subscribe, and then hit that little notification bell if you want to see the next episode. I will be drawing this car out for quite a few episodes. I'm going to try and go into a little bit more detail. Being this car is mostly stock, I really want to get really into detail on this one, specifically because the people who want to learn how to work on their own car, and if they have one of these, they'll be able to get a little bit better idea of what they're doing. I'm going to slow down. You'll notice on this video I slowed down some of the the unbolting and stuff, I didn't go crazy fast on the fast forwarding on the video. So on all my previous videos, there's a lot of times where I go 64 times speed, and I do that just to try and make the video as fast as possible, because otherwise it just goes on forever. So enough talking. If you like what you see, I'll have the next episode up in the corner here, and that'll be tomorrow, or if you're watching it after tomorrow, then obviously it'll already be there. So yeah, make sure you subscribe and get on board with this, and especially if you own one of these cars.